Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. 87 degrees, by the way, here at the Source, WOCA, broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall. If you're passing our window, just wave and say hi, and we'll wave right back. And it looks like it's drizzling out there a little bit.
Yeah.
We have a guest who is going to teach us something, Robin. Dr. Joel Wallach is on the phone. He's a certified and licensed doctor of naturopathic medicine. He happens to be a veterinarian. I think he does work in Florida sometimes, too.
Yes, he does.
And one of the things we're going to talk about is epigenetics. So I want to look smart for the doctor. I don't want to look like I don't know what epigenetics is, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked it up. I Googled it, like everybody else does, right? And this is what it says when you Google epigenetics. It says, the study of changes in organisms caused by modification of gene expression rather than alteration of the genetic code itself. And I said, I still don't know what epigenetics is. We're going to talk about that because it's the title of a book, Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. And he's on the phone right now, Dr. Joel Wallace. Well, I think he was driving up in Canada. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Right? Good morning, Doctor. Again, thank you for waiting, and thank you for being on the air with us today.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you guys for your hospitality. We really, really appreciate being with you. I do get to Florida actually quite a bit.
Did you do work here? Where did I see your the Florida connection with you? Jacksonville.
Have you ever? Yeah, Jacksonville. I worked at the zoo there some years ago. Also, I hold meetings on health. You ever hear of the audio cassette tape or the book or the CD called Dead Doctors Don't Lie?
Well, you know, I saw that on your notes, and I used to listen to a podcast called Dead Doctors. Was that you? Did you do that podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
We still do that. Yeah, I'm on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for 2 hours. Been doing it for 18 years.
Yes, and I certainly did. I had you on my, whatever that thing is on iTunes that got you, like, I subscribed to you or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I didn't pay, so you weren't getting any money from me. But anyway, well, thank you for being on. What is, I guess we'll start with the question, because the answer that I got from Google didn't help me at all. What is epigenetics?
Okay, well, epigenetics is the study of how to fulfill your genetic potential for health and longevity. The medical system believed from the beginning of genetics back in the 1920s that you got a gene, and it was either good or bad. Drop dead, good or bad. And if it was bad, you wanted to get a genetically engineered gene to replace the bad one, and then you could cure your disease. They believed that all diseases, including cancer and diabetes and Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease and so on, were caused by a bad gene. Well, we've all learned here in the last 75 years, starting back in the 1950s, that your genes are they have a potential, and very few people get to achieve their genetic potential. An example would be if you have a very expensive car that has a possibility of going 300,000 miles without an engine change. If you put 6 quarts of oil in it and change your oil every 1,000 miles, you'll get 300,000 miles out of it. But if you're Scotch and you say, I'm not going to spend that kind of money on oil, change it every 1,000 miles, I'll just put 6 quarts of Texas dirt in that car, because everybody knows there's some oil in Texas, and so I'll just put Texas dirt in there, and there's probably going to be some oil.
Oh, wow.
The odds are that car won't go 300,000 miles. The odds are it won't go a whole tank of gas. You'll probably get 300 miles, 50 miles out of it, or it seizes up, burns up. Well, the same thing is true of our genes and DNA and RNA. They have a potential, and most people never even come close to achieving their genetic potential for health, for longevity, for intelligence, for speed, strength, and resistance to disease, because they never give their genes and their DNA and RNA everything it needs to acquire that genetic potential for maximum benefit. And so gene has potential, DNA and RNA have potential, but most people, again, never acquire things. Well, we figured out, and being a veterinarian as well as a primary care physician and a pathologist, I'm also a pathologist. I do autopsies on animals and people. A book I did with Marlon Perkins back in the 1960s is in the Smithsonian Institute as a national treasure They actually have a guard on it, and they only let people see it.
Oh, wow.
They found out, yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting. That represents 20,000 autopsies, 10 million chemistries, and that's when I really began to understand epigenetics back in the 60s. And because you're getting all these animals that had human diseases and figuring, why are all these animals getting diseases that are supposed to be genetically transmitted diseases in humans? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So that was your red flag or your aha moment.
Exactly. That was the aha moment because I had more material to work with than most people. Not that I'm smarter than anybody else, but very few people have done 20,000 autopsies and 10 million chemistries, and have done many more since then. Some projects have 1,500, 1,700 autopsies.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually worked for governments in China and the United States, NIH, National Institutes of Health, and all this information is in this new book, Epigenetics.
So can I ask you a question? Kind of interject a question. If you went back in time with the knowledge you have, and you went back 100 years, would you see the same things happening, or is this something that's happened because of the way we process food and all that?
No, this goes back to the beginning of time. This is something that's always been in the genes of all vertebrates, whether you're a hummingbird or a human being or an elephant. Doesn't matter. We were given genetic potential. If you're biblically oriented, if you go back and you look at the old guys and all the descendants of Adam lived to be 930, and everybody who were his male descendants for about 10, 12 generations lived to be 900 or more, except one. He failed. He only lived to be 817, I think. And
wow.
so if that's all true, then we know that in the beginning, at least, the genetic potential was for more than 900 years. And here we are, we're dying somewhere between 65 and 75, and so we're not achieving our genetic potential because we've been given the false idea that if we just eat well, we're going to get everything we need to
Okay, all right. Well, we're all ears. We want to hear more about this. So are there conclusions? I mean, are there things we could do right now?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, this is the beauty of the book, The Death of the Genetic Disease Transmission, Epigenetics. And it goes back, again, the fact that I'm a veterinarian as well as a physician. If you think about it, Larry, there's no health insurance for animals. And as a result, we look at animals differently than people, or doctors look at people who have insurance. Doctors look at people as a ATM machine, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
As veterinarians, it's all economics, and if you don't help the farmer make money, you don't get called back. And so we just had to learn to get rid of diseases that are thought to be genetic in humans. I'll give you a couple of for instances. Type 2 diabetes, we've known for 70 years in animals that it's a simple mineral deficiency disease. And I can get rid of type 2 diabetes. I don't care if you've had it for 30 years, Larry. Usually within 30 days, I can make you an ex-diabetic. Same thing with things like lupus, which they say are autoimmune. It's totally preventable, totally reversible.
Really?
Cleft palate, cleft lip, spina bifida, diseases like Down syndrome.
A cleft palate? Down syndrome?
Yeah, Down syndrome is caused by nutritional deficiency in the first division when the sperm fertilizes the egg. The first division in 2 minutes, if you're missing zinc in the first 2 minutes of pregnancy, you're going to have a Down syndrome baby.
Okay, but once a person has Down syndrome, is there a way to reverse it?
Up until 2.5 months of pregnancy, it's reversible. I've done it with even Evel Knievel's niece-in-law, Lauren Knievel. She came to me with a pregnancy that was 2.5 months along, and I was able to employ the principles of epigenetics, give her all 90 essential nutrients, throw in some extra zinc, and she had a full-term normal pregnancy.
Wow.
Even though 2 laboratories had diagnosed her with Down syndrome and recommended an abortion.
Oh, wow.
So
many times since then. Mm-hmm.
So how can they diagnose a baby at 2 months growth as to having any kind of deficiency at all?
Well, it's very simple. We're talking about Down syndrome. You can actually do an amniocentesis where they take a needle draw, they take the fluid out of the amnio sac, and actually you can see these cells that have 3 chromosomes of chromosome 21 instead of 2, like you're supposed to. As you can see that actually in the first couple of days of pregnancy. Usually nobody thinks they're having problems or anything until later on in pregnancy. Once you pass
91
days, you can't reverse it, at least in my experience.
Wow.
Before 91 days is reversible.
Doctor, we are all ears to this, and we have to take a break, though. So if you can just hang on, we need to take a weather and a couple of commercials, and then we'll be back with Dr. Joel Wallach. And the book, again, is Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. I can't wait to hear more. And we'll take a little, you could get rid of diabetes. We'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunshine mixing with clouds today with a couple of thunderstorms around this afternoon. The high 88 to 92. Then partly cloudy tonight with a thunderstorm around early on near the coast. Low 73 to 77. Partly sunny tomorrow with a couple of thunderstorms popping up in the afternoon. High 86 to 90. And for Saturday, times of sun and clouds, a couple of showers and a thunderstorm mainly in the afternoon. The high 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Who would you feed if you had 50 chicken sandwiches from Chick-fil-A? WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall have teamed up to reward one organization with 50 chicken sandwiches as a way of saying thanks for the great work that organization is doing in our community. And we need your help. See, there are so many great people doing great things that we need nominations. You can nominate your own organization or any organization you choose. Simply send an email to WOCA@WOCA.com. And in 350 words or less, tell us why the organization you are nominating should receive 50 free chicken sandwiches from WOCA and Chick-fil-A at the Paddock Mall. We'll review your nominations and then select one deserving organization each month. We'll announce the winner and even read the winning entry on the air. Make sure to include the contact name and phone number of the organization that you are nominating. And thanks from your friends at WOCA and Chick-fil-A in the Paddock Mall.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
Are you tired of not using your home's outdoor space for entertaining or relaxation because of all the bugs and leaves? Consider adding a beautiful screen room or glass enclosure. We are Superior Aluminum and Design, a family-owned and operated business with 20 years experience in the aluminum industry, and we are accredited by the Better Business Bureau. If you appreciate superior workmanship, call Superior Aluminum and Design at 817-8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
Men, do you know your testosterone level? Are you experiencing decreased energy levels or unusual sleeping problems? Have you noticed you have less strength or endurance, decreased sex drive, increased irritability or depression? If so, you may be experiencing problems with low testosterone. If you're interested in a free testosterone screening, please call Rinstar Medical Research at 352-629-5800. Again, that number is 352-629-5800.
All right, thank you. 18 minutes after 10 o'clock, let's rejoin now. Dr. Joel Wallach is on the phone up in Canada somewhere, and he's already captured our fascination with this. The book he's talking about is called Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. I used to listen to him, and I regret now that I stopped. I'll have to go back to my iTunes and figure out why I don't see it on my list anymore. Dead Doctors Don't Lie is a series he has done on well, I know he's done it on podcasts, etc. And the one thing that he just said before we went to the break was that if you had type 2 diabetes, you could reverse it within a month or get rid of it. And a child, an unborn child that would be born with Down syndrome could be born without Down syndrome with the right approach to it. In fact, he has done it for Evel Knievel's niece or something like that. Okay. Doctor, is this true? Are all diseases genetic, or does this apply to everything?
This applies to everything. There's not a single disease that's genetically transmitted. You must appreciate, Larry, that over the thousands of years that medicine has come up with theories on disease, there are thousands of failed medical theories. And, of course, the theory that saturated fat is bad is a false theory. Saturated fat, of course, is very, very good. We're talking about lard and butter and cream and eggs are all very good for you. But doctors back in 1908, got a grant from Procter & Gamble to the American Heart Association for $1.7 million. And this was in exchange for an endorsement of Crisco as a new way to cook. And they vilified saturated fat. There was never any science to show this. It was just an ad campaign.
Oh, wow.
It actually killed billions of people over the years with things like Crisco and salad dressings because they said it was good. It's actually very bad for you. At any rate, we can prevent heart disease. We can reverse heart disease, even congestive heart failure. Even if you're on kidney dialysis, we have one guy who's on kidney dialysis for 73 years. And in 2 weeks' time, he's urinating for the first time in 73 years.
Wow.
And in about 2 months' time, he's off of dialysis. We do this thousands of times a year.
What about cancer? What about cancer?
Cancer, I can prevent breast cancer by 462%. It's a wild figure. We can prevent it by 462% just on how you cook. If women would cook their meat medium rare instead of well done, it reduces the risk of breast cancer by 462%. Just that simple. And
wow.
Of course,
what about not eating meat at all? What about vegetarianism? Does that help?
Vegetarianism is an extremely dangerous way to eat because you're then throwing the dice, hoping and praying that all the food you eat will have everything in it you need. That's been one of the big mistakes. You have to supplement. And I started to say this in veterinary medicine. We learned that we could prevent congestive heart failure, Alzheimer's disease. We could reverse congestive heart failure. I've done this in human beings many, many times, where they're on the heart transplant list, they have congestive heart failure, and we just give them our supplement program with the 90 essential nutrients and a little bit of extra of one vitamin, and it goes away in 5 days. It was like crazy. And even though they've been on the heart transplant list for 3 years, their cardiologist takes them off the heart transplant list. Cardiomyopathy heart disease, which is the cause of sudden heart death in humans, if the athlete survives the first heart attack, we can repair that, we can prevent it.
So, okay, let me go back to something you said earlier. You said that the human body for a doctor is an ATM machine, but let's give the benefit of the doubt to the doctors who don't look at it that way. The benefit of the doubt to the doctors who took that Hippocratic oath and said, I want to do whatever I can do to make sure that every patient I see gets as well as I can possibly make him or her. Mm-hmm. I mean, wouldn't those doctors be clamoring for the information you're talking about? I don't believe they're all looking at their patients as ATM machines.
Well, that's a very good question. This is addressed in the first 3 chapters of the book, Larry. You're very perceptive. In 1914, 100 years ago, there was a report that came out that was paid for by the Rockefeller Institute and the foundation, was the steel maker, the Carnegies,
right.
And they spent millions and millions of dollars, and they actually made the medical system a protected monopoly, self-policing. There's no oversight by any agency. And insurance came along during the late 1930s and 40s, and that just turned them into monsters, unfortunately. Here's the problem. There's no law, Larry, requiring a doctor to cure you when there's a cure available. I can cure rheumatoid arthritis in 2 weeks. There's a very simple bug called a mycoplasma, and you can kill it with antibiotics in the tetracycline family called minocycline, just like you can kill syphilis. You can cure syphilis in 2 weeks with penicillin. You can cure the mycoplasma, which causes rheumatoid arthritis, in 2 weeks with minocycline, a tetracycline antibiotic. It'd take you a month or two to reverse the damage based on how severe the deformities are. But if you cure somebody with rheumatoid arthritis through the antibiotics and then fix the actual deformities with nutrition, it might take you a couple of months, and the doctor makes $300 in office calls. If he treats you for rheumatoid arthritis rather than curing you, he'll make $750,000 by putting in joint replacements. He'll give you gold shots and methotrexate and Embrion, Enbrel, I guess it is, and to treat all the complications. Over a period of 25 years, he's going to make $750,000. If he knows he can cure you for $300 and he treats you for 25 years for $750,000, he's using you as an ATM.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I guess my question was about the ones who wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, Larry. The problem is they're a union. What happens to a rogue union member? He doesn't get hired. And so what happens is the other doctors throw him out, take their license away as not practicing to the standard of practice.
Well, what about the doctors themselves? If they know this...
Find me one.
I'm sorry?
Find me one. I've been looking for one for 35 years.
No. But I mean, a doctor who was taking care of his own body, his own wife's body, his own children's bodies.
Well, let me tell you something. You know the average lifespan of a medical doctor in America, Larry? This is their publication, 1999. They published it. This is their survey. And guess what they said? The average lifespan of a medical doctor in America was 56.
Gosh.
56.
Well,
The average lifespan of a medical doctor in America, according to the medical system published, is 56. I said 58, and they didn't like me. I apologize for giving them 6 minutes.
So does the information in the book take us on a path of eating differently, or what? Yeah. What do we do?
You're very perceptive, Larry. You have to give up the bad stuff, the things that cause inflammation, for instance. You've heard of plugged arteries and cholesterol and that whole thing. Well, that's another one of the failed medical theories, because cholesterol does not plug your arteries. Your arteries are plugged by eating inflammatory foods, things like fried foods, salad dressings, processed meats, nitrites like deli slices and sandwich meats, eating oils like coconut oil, olive oil, margarine, mayonnaise, salad dressings. All those things will plug your arteries. Eating gluten. If you're gluten sensitive, gluten from wheat, barley, rye, and oats, from any source, beer, bread, crackers, yogurt that's thickened with it, gravies that are thickened with, soups that are thickened. These inflame your arteries and cause them to be plugged, not cholesterol. That was another one of these failed medical theories. In fact, the cholesterol theory was killed June 23rd, 2014, just a couple of months ago. Cover story.
So what would you eat? I mean, you wouldn't have salad dressing on your salad? What would you put on your salad?
Lemon juice, sour cream, mustard.
Oh, sour cream's okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I can handle that.
How does
lemon juice with it.
How does salt and calcium fit into this equation?
Okay, well, first of all, Robin, hi.
Hi.
Secondly, salt has 2 essential nutrients in it, sodium and chloride. The reason why we have so much reflux in America is a chloride deficiency. Chloride from the sodium chloride from salt is a required nutrient to make stomach acid. There is no such thing as acid reflux. That's another failed medical theory. It's actually lack of acid reflux. So when you don't have enough stomach acid, yeast and bacteria begin to grow in your stomach because it's not sterile anymore, and they produce gas, which causes reflux. You cannot absorb and digest proteins down to amino acids without stomach acid, and you cannot absorb B12. So you have to go to the doctor's office every month to get a B12 shot. You're not taking salt. Sodium is required as a cofactor for every one of your enzymes and your genes and DNA and RNA to work. They're cofactors at the subcellular level. And any doctor who tells you to restrict salt should be put in jail for manslaughter, because everybody who dies of all of these weird diseases they say are autoimmune and stuff is really just a salt deficiency. And so salt, again, biblically, God said, go forth and be a salt of the earth.
I'm so happy with this news. I put salt on everything.
Fire your doctor, Larry. Anyway, calcium, of course, is one of the 60 essential minerals, Robin. And calcium is required also as cofactors at the subcellular level for enzyme functions and things. But also it's a structural mineral for bones, teeth, that sort of thing. It's needed for blood clotting and prevents calcium kidney stones. Calcium deficiency causes kidney stones. Another failed medical theory is doctors think when you have kidney stones it's caused by eating too much calcium. They are so silly, they really should be put in jail for ignorance. Just keep them off the street. They have it all backwards. Also, things like bone spurs are caused by raging osteoporosis, not too much calcium. Your doctor, as soon as you get bone spurs, you got to stop calcium.
Well,
put in jail for that.
I want to read the book. We have a minute and a half left. How do we get the book? And they have a website.
Okay. The book is, they can give us a call at 901-834-7420, 901-834-7420. Because it's not a toll-free number, if they ask, when they buy the book, and they call that not toll-free, remember, 901-834-7420, ask them, and they will give the buyer of the book, Epigenetics, The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission, it will give them a free CD, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. How's that?
Okay, all right. But do you have a website? What's the website?
Website would be, I would say, The website would be brandy@ksco.com.
Okay, that'd be the email address. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, doctor, you've held our attention, and we all want to know more. So I'm guessing that because we can't do it all on a radio show, we'll have to listen to you on your podcast and make sure we get the book. It's called Epigenetics: The Death of the Genetic Theory of Disease Transmission. And Robin will take the phone number you just gave her, and she'll put it on the Facebook page with this interview.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. That was great. And please come back. You're welcome back anytime.
Okay, well, I'll look you guys up next time I get to Florida.
Yeah, come into the studio.
That'd be great.
All right, we'll be right back. Thank you.
Larry. Thank you, Robin. Bye-bye.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Hours after authorities called for peace in Ferguson, Missouri, new violence over the shooting of an unarmed black teenager.
Cops firing tear gas canisters and rubber bullets to repel crowds.
That's all we were saying. Hands up, don't shoot.
But some were seen throwing flaming projectiles last night. One officer hurt, over a dozen arrested.
Fox Radio's Jeff Manasso in our Midwest Bureau.
We've also learned that the unidentified police officer who shot Michael Brown over the weekend also had to be treated at a hospital for facial injuries that police say he suffered when he was attacked by Brown.
The search continues for two missing Amish girls in northern New York. Authorities say the 6 and 12-year-olds may have been abducted from their family's roadside stand last night. And first-time jobless claims up last week to 311,000. That number is still close to pre-recession levels. Fox News. We report, you decide.
They say every healthy relationship should have a balance of predictability and spontaneity. In fact, it is that assurance of security that makes the spontaneous possible. Your relationship with your car should be a little like that too. With our new industry-leading unlimited mileage warranty, your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz instills a sense of confidence. You drive away knowing that you can keep driving for up to 3 years and never have to worry about the miles. Add to that our new complimentary prepaid maintenance on select models, and your certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz becomes the ultimate carefree escape vehicle. Only during the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned Sales event, going on now through September 2nd, can you also take advantage of a 2